So in this section of the video, we are going to look at Islamic finance. So Islamic finance is a finance that is compliant with Sharia law. Islamic finance has gone through an exceptional growth period in recent times. The number of fully Sharia compliant banks continues to increase worldwide. Sharia compliant financial products are not only offered by Islamic banks but also offered by conventional banks. So here you could see how the Islamic finance is like growing over a lot of countries. So Islamic finance accounts for 20% of banking system assets in 10 countries. So these are the countries which are like mostly using Islamic finance. And the global assets in Islamic finance seems to be keep on growing. So this is a chart from 2011, sorry, 1 to 2011. So we look in detail like what is the theory behind Islamic finance. So the objective of an Islamic finance undertaking is not only to just make profit, but also to achieve goals such as social welfare and full employment. So this is what differentiates between conventional banking and Islamic finance. Making profits by lending alone and charging of interest is forbidden under Sharia law. Islamic finance company should not make profits by lending, and charging of interest is also forbidden in Sharia's law. Again, this is a huge difference between conventional finance and Islamic finance. The business of trading of goods and investments in Sharia's acceptable enterprises form the core Islamic finance. So what happens here is Sharia and Islamic finance is like promoting the trading of goods and investments, but they prevent interest being charged. The Islamic bank arranges their business in such a way that the bank's profitability is closely tied up with that of the client. So interest is not charged, but the any profit which the client of a Islamic finance bank makes, that profit is like shared with the bank. The bank stands to take profit or make a loss in line with the projects that they are financing. As such, must be more involved in the investment decision. So the bank is not giving a loan, the bank is actually making a investment in the project. So these are the key differentiating elements between a conventional finance and a Islamic finance. So this we can say as the 5 pillars of Islamic finance. So the first one is each transaction has to be backed by a tangible and identifiable underlying asset. All parties must share the risks and rewards of a transaction. Certain items should not be like financed or traded. For example, alcohol, weapon, pork, gambling, internet-based financial institutions are to be not to be invested. Ban on speculation. Uncertainty is contractual terms and conditions is prohibited. So the speculation is like banned. Ban on interest. Interest must not be charged or paid. So these are the 5 pillars of Islamic finance. So we look at the various Islamic finance contracts. So these are the ones which form the part of your exam. So there's something called as a mudaraba, which is a partnership contract. Musharaka, which is a kind of a partnership, again a kind of a equity partnership contract. Murabaha, a form of credit sale. Ijara, a form of lease. Sukuk is a type of bond. So this is a very important part of the Islamic finance. So here we will discuss each type of contract in detail. So Mudaraba is a two-person partnership contract. So a Mudaraba transaction is a partnership transaction in which only one of the partner contributes a capital and the other contributes a skill. The investor has no right to interfere in the day-to-day operations of the business. The investor heavily relies on the working partner and his ability to manage the business. Investor in Mudaraba is only liable to the extent of the capital he has provided. As a result, the working partner cannot commit the business for any sum which is over and above the capital provided. So Mudaraba is something like a private equity investment. So this is what Mudaraba is all about. We move on to Musharaka contract. It's a many person partnership. All partners bring a share of capital and expertise to the business. Partners do not have to provide equal amount of capital or expertise. Any profit will be shared according to the ratio agreed. Any loss will be distributed in terms of the capital alone. Although profits can be distributed in any proportion by mutual consent, no lump sum profit can be shared by a single partner. So why do they have it? Because one person should not enjoy the profits of a business alone. This transaction is like very similar to a venture capital. So this is about Musharaka contract. So now we'll move on to Murabaha contract. It is a form of a credit sale. As part of the contract between the buyer and the seller, the price and the quality of the goods, the markup, the delivery date, the payment date are agreed. The sale of the good is immediate against future payment. In the context of trading, the advantage to the buyer is that he can use the goods to generate a profit in the business and subsequently use the profit to repay the original seller. The underlying asset can vary. It can include a raw material or a goods for resale. So this is how it works. So the seller and the buyer determine what is going to be the price, the quality, and the markup, the delivery date, and the payment date are all agreed, and the goods are delivered from the seller to the buyer on credit. So it is a credit purchase for this person and a credit sale for this person. But the thing is, there's no interest charged. Okay, but the profit earned by the buyer has to be shared. It has to be shared. So what happens is, assume the price of the good is 100. He has sold it for 100 to this person. This person in return, when he pays back for the good, has to pay more than that. For example, 100 plus some 5, so 105. So this 5 typically represents some kind of a interest. But if you look at this, assume the buyer could not make a profit. He has made a loss. In that case, he has to just repay the original amount. He won't pay the additional amount. So what we thought as an interest is not an interest at all, because whenever the profit is made, it is shared. Whenever a loss is made, it doesn't need to be shared with the credit seller. So this is a form of credit sale. And there is also conditions regarding the Murabaha sale. For example, the object of credit sale must actually exist and should be owned by the seller. It should be offered for a price, and both the object and the price are accepted by the seller, and it should also be within the market range. The object that is being sold should have some kind of a value. The object in question should not be prohibited by Sharia. For example, pork or weapon or alcohol are not are prohibited by Sharia law. The buyer in the contract has the right to demand that the objective is of suitable quality and is not defective. So these are the conditions which are required for a sale. So we will move on to the Ijara contract. An Ijara contract is where one party, the lessor, allows another party, a lessee, to use his assets against a payment of a rental fee. The asset needs to be tangible, non-perishable, valuable, identifiable, and quantifiable. The lessor leases the asset to the lessee for a pre-agreed period, and the lessee pays a pre-agreed rental. So it's a normal form of a lease contract. The rental or lease payment can either be fixed or floating. At the end of the period, the lessee can request for an extent of the lease or hand the asset to the lessor. We still have some more points. So this is how it works. The lessor gives the asset to the lessee. The lessee makes the periodical rental payment every year. At the end of the contract, the asset is transferred. So there are like still more conditions here. In both the forms of ijara, the lessor is the owner of the asset and incurs all risk associated with ownership, while the lessee bears the responsibility for wear and tear and day-to-day maintenance. The lessor is responsible for major maintenance and insurance. Due to the fact that the lessee is using the asset on a daily basis, he is often in a better position to determine the maintenance requirements and is generally appointed by the lessor as an agent to ensure all maintenance is carried out. So we'll move on to the Sukuk Islamic bond. So this Sukuk Islamic bond is like very different when compared to a normal bond. Sukuk are normally linked to the underlying tangible asset. The ownership of the underlying asset is transferred to the holder of the Sukuk certificates together with all the ownership benefits and risks. This gives Sukuk the characteristics of both equity and bond. Sukuk have a short term than conventional bonds. They are typically 3 to 5 years in nature. Sukuk holders own a proportional share of the underlying asset and the income that it generates. Sukuk holder is also subject to ownership risk, which means that he is exposed to any risk and potential loss associated with the share of the underlying asset. So these are not like normal bonds because there is no interest involved, but what is involved is the sharing of profit and loss. So even though it has a name like bond, it is still seem to be like a equity, but a very short term equity, and that too is payable within a period of 3 to 5 years. So that's why they say that it is a combination of both equity and bond. So now we'll summarize all the Islamic finance contracts. So Murabaha is a trade credit or a loan. Musharaka is similar to a venture capital. Mudaraba is equal to equity. Ijara is similar to leasing. Sukuk is similar to bonds. Okay, so this gives you a good summary of the entire contracts. So we'll have a quiz. A type of partnership where one party offers funds while other gives expertise and management is called as, okay, so the contract is Mudarabaha. Giving share of investor to customer on lease. Okay, giving share of investor to customer on lease. So the word lease is there. So lease is the basis of ijara. So any lease is ijara. So we got the answer.
You can reach me at my website wowacademics.com, or you can also see my Quora answers. I am active in LinkedIn and in Facebook page, so you can visit at these places. If you just type Sham Prasad and Wow Academics, you will get all these links in Google search itself. And if you like this video, give a like, share to your friends, and if you feel that any points we have missed in this video, you can post it. We will try to give an answer to you in the comment section itself, or we'll also create another video for you. So thank you for watching our video.